Hi folks, John Cordisco back again with another great chess video. Well, here we are, Game 5 of the much-awaited World Championship between Magnus Carlsen of Norway and Vishy Anand of Anand. Anand is the current world champion. And we have a decisive game. First blood has been drawn. I'm not going to say who wins, but I just want to get right to the game. Carlsen is white, Anand is black. It's going to be a Queen's Gambit decline, semi-Slav, e6, d4, d5, knight c3, c6, e4, d takes, knight takes, bishop checks, knight c3. Normally what happens is you would block with a bishop here. It would be a gambit, because now this pawn is unguarded by the queen. But Magnus put it back. Interesting move. c5, a3, hit the bishop, bishop a5, knight f3, knight f6, bishop e3. I'm going a little quick through the opening because we got a lot of ground to cover. Vishy went knight c6, and here is a brand new move. My understanding from the other commentators on the game, this is a brand new move, queen to d3. Normally you wouldn't do that because it's blocking in the bishop, but what it does, it opens this up for a queenside castle. C takes, knight to g4, hitting the bishop. Magnus doesn't really care. Now he's got a really nice run here on the d file. Knight takes. If he played queen takes, this bishop comes here, and that's a problem. So he plays f takes. After queen takes, bishop b6, knight, and castles. And white's in a bad spot. Kind of awkward. After f pawn takes, bishop c7, knight takes, pawn takes, queen takes, bishop takes, bishop b2, king e7. Now we have the classic bishop pair against knight and bishop. White looks pretty good right now. Carlsen. These pawns are all connected. Vishy has these two isolated ones over here. And then there's one here that's isolated for Magnus. Bishop f3, coming right down on the pawn right away. Never give your opponent a chance to breathe if you can help it. He has to defend. Knight e4, bishop b6. Vishy's doing the same thing, hitting the isolated pawn. c5, hitting the bishop and blocking and saving the e3 pawn. f5, very well calculated out by Vishy. C takes, f takes. Now here's a neat intermezzo move. b7. What he's trying to avoid is, if he takes here, black takes here and reconnects his pawns. Magnus doesn't want that. He wants those pawns isolated still. Nice intermezzo move there. b7. Rook has to move, and then bishop takes. Much different now. Now rook takes. Much different now. These two pawns are isolated. Big, big difference. Rook h to f1. Rook to b5. Rook to f4. Stopping the rook from coming to here. They go after the isolated pawn. g5. I got my Fritz 13 computer running off screen. It's a small advantage for white. Rook to f3 to guard the e-pawn in case the rook has to go there and the white light-squared bishop has to move for white. h5. Rook d to f1. Beautiful. Eyeball in the space right here against black's king. He has to come back to guard that square with the bishop. Now the bishop comes back. Rook c5, pinning the bishop. Now I want to say at this point, these guys have been using a ton of time. This is an incredibly complicated position, and there's a lot at stake. And they're using up a lot of time. And they're using up a lot of brain power as well. This is tough stuff. White goes rook to f6. h4, getting some space. e4. a5. Now, you're going to start wanting to get your king into play here. King's a powerful piece in the endgame, especially with queens off the board. It's a great defending piece, kind of an oxymoron. The piece you're trying to defend more than any is also a good defending piece. King to d2. Rook to b5. Oddly enough, the last three moves have all been the top move of the computer. These guys are great. Bishop b3, bishop h5, all computer moves. King comes up to c3, trying to get in the fray of things. Rook c5 check. King goes to b2. Tiny advantage for white, about a third of a pawn. Rook to d8, try to get that open file. You notice now the rook can't come here to challenge that rook because of this bishop is holding those key squares. Rook comes up. Did not want the black rook to come here. That would be devastating. Rook to d4. Rook h6, hitting the bishop. This is a great move. Great move. Bishop to d1. Right now, the game is level as far as the computer is concerned. But we're dealing with humans here, and this is incredibly complicated. This next move, I gotta tell you, is the #1 computer move. Magnus sees his only way to win this game is to keep the bishops on the board. There's only one way to do that. Retreat the bishop to b1. I think that's an incredibly outstanding move. Outstanding. And it's getting close to time control. This is move 36. Rook to b5, king to c3, attacking the rook. You can take this pawn, but the rook's in prey. c5, defending the rook. Rook to b2, defending the pawn. This is great stuff. e5. Rook g6 to go after the g5 pawn. a4. Incredible stuff. Incredible stuff. Now the pawn on b3 is up for grabs. Magnus takes the pawn on g5. If he had taken instead, rook takes, king takes, bishop takes, rook takes, king d6. And I think white's a little better here. After rook takes g5, rook takes, bishop takes, rook takes e5 check, king to d6. These guys are still pounding each other. Now on move 42 now. Now they can relax a little bit, and they got an extra hour at move 40. Rook to h5. Magnus is going after the h4 pawn. Rook to d1, going after the bishop. He throws in a check. King goes to d5. Bishop h7. This is where Anand stumbles. Plays right now, the score is at minute advantage for white. Rook to c1, and it jumps to over a point and a quarter for white. He should have played rook to a1. I'll go through the scenario with you, but we just don't have that kind of time. Believe me, that is the correct move. After rook to c1, black's in trouble. King to b2, rook to g1, bishop g8, check, king to c6. If he had gone to d4 instead, on move 47, bishop takes, pawn takes, rook takes. And I think white can make it here. I can't fault Vichy on move 45, rook to c1 instead of rook to a1 too much. These guys are tired. This is a huge battle. And he's trying to defend his title against Magnus, who seems to be relentless as far as energy and stamina. Rook to h6 check. If he had gone bishop takes b3 instead, a takes, rook takes, king takes. And that's a huge advantage for white. After rook takes h6, another mistake by Vichy. Oddly enough, the computer shows it with a double question mark. And it's the second recommended move for black. Very close in score to the first one. King to b5 probably was his only chance to try to hold it. King to d7. If they went king to b5, bishop takes, a takes, king takes, c4, king c3, rook a1. I doubt if he can hold it, but that was his best chance. After king to d7, bishop takes, a takes, king takes, rook takes. If he had gone rook to a1 instead, it really doesn't do much, because after rook takes, king to e6, rook to h5, black is doomed. After rook takes g2, rook takes, king to e6, a4. Here comes the a pawn, and he's running quick, and there's not much black can do to stop it. King takes e5, a5, king d6. Maybe rook to g8 maybe was his only hope, but that makes the rook so passive now. King to d6, rook to h7, cutting off the king from crossing this file. King to d5, a6, c4 check, king to c3. Now you notice now he can't check here because his pawn's guarding the square. Rook to a2. Rook to g8 doesn't really save it, because after a7, king c5, rook c7 check, king b6. Here, of course, if he takes, there's a queen. a7, king to c5, and it's funny, the computer suggests rook to a4, and it says doesn't get the bull off the ice. I have no clue what the hell that means. It's pretty excuse me, pretty funny though. h4, king e6, rook c7, and that ends the game the other way. After king to c5, h4, and Vichy Anand, current world champion, resigns. First win for any of them in this match. First blood is drawn by Magnus. If I remember correctly, Vichy lost the very first game in his match against Gelfand. Vichy looked totally dejected. I think he had a chance to save the game. I think he drifted. He was playing extremely well. And that's one of the things in chess. If you're on the razor's edge, and you both are, it's whoever makes the last mistake. I give Magnus a lot of credit. He hung in there. The kid's got determination. He's got youth on his side as well. I'm sure Magnus was very happy after this game up in his hotel room with his father and the rest of his people. Anyway, folks, there it is, Game 5 of the much anticipated World Championship between current champion Vichy Anand and Magnus Carlsen. I just want you to remember, if you think chess is just a game, you're not playing it right. And I'll see you all in the next video. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.